prior to after, obviously. But now that I understand how difficult he is to deal with, there's no one else like him. You can't prepare for him, even at
his age,
even at an elder version of him.
Cool to see. And honestly, even with the majority draw, it's a win for Manny, because damn, if he can do that off a 3-year layoff at 46, that's pretty telling for one, where the sport of boxing is when your world champ can't beat 46-year-old politician Manny Pacquiao.
This guy is so bad. Like that fired him up a little bit, and then he goes in the ring and he does nothing. He goes in the ring and I thought it was an embarrassing performance from a 30-year-old champion.
Fighters are genuinely terrified of Manny Pacquiao's comeback because, even at 46, he still moves like he's in his prime. Sean Porter, who witnessed Pacquiao's training and his performance against Barrios, confidently stated that Manny is still the same dangerous force. Despite his age, Pacquiao's speed, footwork, and intensity remain razor sharp, and opponents fear that the legendary version of him hasn't faded. He's still capable of dominating top-tier fighters today.
What do you think about the overall matchup? Everything, man. I watched him train like last week or the week before, and amazing to see him still move and bounce and do all the same things that he was doing in camp years ago when I was with him. So he's still locked in. He's still him, Crazy, but he is. You know what they say, man. The last thing to go is that power.
Chris Algieri, who once faced Manny Pacquiao during the peak of both their careers, offers a rare and respected perspective on the legend's enduring threat. According to Algieri, there's something extraordinary about Pacquiao that defies time. While most fighters decline with age, Manny remains an unsolvable puzzle even for younger, fresher opponents. Algieri describes him as one of the hardest fighters to prepare for: unpredictable, fast, explosive, and relentless. He stresses that age is irrelevant when it comes to Pacquiao's abilities, as Manny possesses a unique physical and mental edge that no training camp can replicate or anticipate. For Algieri, Pacquiao's comeback isn't just possible, it's dangerous for anyone who steps into the ring with him.
Obviously, but now that I understand how difficult he is to deal with, there's no one else like him. You can't prepare for him, even at
his age,
even at an elder version of him.
In his fight against Mario Barrios, Pacquiao shocked audiences by how much of his trademark style remained intact. At 46, many expected a faded legend attempting to recapture past glory, but instead, fans witnessed blistering footwork, rapid combinations, and sharp angles, everything that once made him a feared champion. What stood out most was the competitiveness of each round. Even those he didn't win on the scorecards were fiercely contested. His timing, ring generalship, and stamina held up remarkably well. While Barrios was expected to dominate due to his youth, he often found himself reacting rather than dictating the pace. It was clear that Pacquiao wasn't just showing up, he was still competing at an elite level.
Manny's always been good at that. And my son really pointed it out perfectly. He was still good at it. I think he was stealing some rounds at the end. Whether he deserved them or he didn't deserve them, whatever. They were close rounds. He might have stole them on the judges' cards. What we shouldn't forget is he's a special guy, and he put a special performance. I never saw cams on the legs of somebody that big. I mean, it's incredible. I thought early on he stumbled a little bit. I thought his legs were stumbling a little bit, like you might see in a 46-year-old, a little bit. But at the end, they got the act together. He used them pretty good. He used them pretty damn good. What I think he also did was maybe I think the word illusion is too powerful, but I'd say a little misleading, where he threw those real fast punches like my son said. They weren't quality punches like they used to be, where there was real impact and real power at the end of them. They were more like just punches, and they weren't all being impactful. They weren't all landing clean. Some did, but they weren't all landing clean, and they definitely weren't landing with real power. They really
Social media personality and fighter Salt Papi joined the conversation with a bold take on a potential rematch between Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, claiming that Manny's current form proves he's still active, conditioned, and mentally sharp. In contrast, Mayweather has spent years away from real competition, and Salt Papi believes that if the two legends were to meet again, the outcome would be dramatically different from their 2015 bout. This time Pacquiao's rhythm, activity, and hunger would overwhelm Mayweather's aging reflexes, while Floyd has maintained his undefeated record through exhibitions. Salt Papi argues that Pacquiao's genuine return to form makes him the more dangerous fighter today.
in this fight. He was essentially standing there for some of the exchanges. Manny Pacquiao came out and did what Manny Pacquiao does. By the way, credit to Manny. At 46, he still had some feet. He was moving, dancing on Mario Barrios. He was throwing combination punches going forward on Mario Barrios. And when he wasn't doing that, he was countering Mario Barrios, who looked like a stick in the mud. He looked like he couldn't even get out of first gear because Manny was hitting with combinations. Were they hurting super bad? Maybe not. Some of them definitely were. Had a mouse under the eye of Mario Barrios, but others were just flurries, and they were keeping Barrios at bay. When Barrios was throwing one, Pacquiao was throwing three. When Barrios would throw out his jab, Manny would counter with his lead right hand, stepping on the inside plane, doing all the old Manny shit. It was pretty cool to see. And honestly, even with the majority draw, it's a win for Manny because, damn, if he can do that off a 3-year layoff at 46, that's pretty telling for one, where the sport of boxing is when your world champ can't beat 46-year-old politician Manny Pacquiao. But two, just how great he was. 8 division world champion, started his career at 106, I think.
Pacquiao's performance against Barrios was a powerful reminder of why he's considered a generational talent. Every time Barrios tried to engage, Manny fired back with 2 or 3 lightning-fast punches, displaying an output, energy, and footwork that sharply contrasted Barrios' cautious and often reactive style. What impressed both fans and critics was how youthful Pacquiao's movements remained. His legs were constantly in motion, cutting angles and creating openings. Many observers questioned the official result, arguing that Manny's relentless aggression and high volume far outweighed Barrios' sparse counters. It wasn't just that Pacquiao looked good for his age. He looked like he still belonged at the top of the sport.
Coming back and fighting is because they don't understand what's going on in Manny Pacquiao's life. When a fighter, 46 years old, he doesn't just come back to fight a top fighter because he just wants to fight a top fighter. When he's going through that, that's what's brought him to that place in the first place. And that is having what we call bandwidth extension. He's totally scattered his brain and lost so much money over the course of time. And the same thing that happens when you get a paycheck and you start spending, and because you get shiny object syndrome, you want to get the new watch, you want to get the new gear, you want to eat at the restaurant, you want to go spend money. That shiny object syndrome, and you can't get it under control, same way that Manny Pacquiao did. He couldn't get things under control. So therein lies the situation where all of that money that he's made, hundreds of millions of dollars, just burnt. And now you got to fight. But if you really stop focusing on the symptom and start concentrating on the root of this thing, and the root of this thing is bandwidth, shiny object syndrome, trying to be so relevant in so many different scenarios. You want to train. You want to run this other business. You want to do this. You got this great idea. And it all boils down to the term that I use all the time, and that's compensatory control. Laser focus. Get one idea, follow through with that idea. You got to have a plan in order to do it. And that's how you get to from here to here. That's when you're 46. You don't have to fight anymore. And that is my message today. Just understand why you're scattered. Understand why you can't get anything going all the way through. You can never finish that thought process and execute the plan, and therefore you continue to find yourself in a situation where you're desperate. You're trying to find a way to get back to where you were, which is even. But if you stay locked in and concentrate on the compensatory control factor of your life, which is doing everything that you think of every single day the exact same way, and I take 1 minute and go to that playlist.
Skeptics have questioned Manny Pacquiao's motives for returning to the ring, suggesting that financial incentives may be the primary driving force. With nothing left to prove as an 8-division Hall of Fame world champion and global icon, many believe he could easily remain retired. Yet his decision to come back has raised eyebrows, with critics arguing that the risks now outweigh the rewards, especially given the increasing physical toll of the sport at his age. They contend that no amount of pride or legacy building justifies stepping into the ring again unless a significant payday is on the
world
line.
champion, and I realized that this is the time that I can help my family. Before that, we don't have food to eat in one day. We just drink a lot of water to survive. And I remember one time, my young brother is 5 years old back then, and he was crying like in the afternoon, 1:30 in the afternoon. He's crying because he's hungry. He's asking for food. We don't eat breakfast. We don't eat lunch. He don't understand, well, what is You're telling him no money, we have no money to buy food, and he's crying like, Mom, I'm hungry, like he's crying. And I look to my mom and look at his eyes, and the tear flow in his eyes, and then I feel so sad, and like, and of course I'm crying also because he's hungry. We drink water just to survive. That's our past, so that's why I always told them that, Manny Pacquiao is Manny Pacquiao, but I don't have the right to become arrogant, to become boastful. I want to stay humble because we've been there. We came from nothing.
However, Pacquiao has consistently refuted claims that money is his motivation, emphasizing that his return to the ring is driven by passion, legacy, and the desire to inspire. Over the years, he has earned a reputation not just as a fighter, but as a generous humanitarian funding hospitals, supporting disaster relief efforts, and giving back to communities in the Philippines. Manny frequently reminds the media that he fights for his people, not for profit. He wants to prove that age is just a number when the heart remains strong, and that true greatness doesn't have an expiration date. With the Barrios fight now behind him, speculation about Pacquiao's next opponent has taken over boxing headlines.
No. Tira los golpes al momento. Porque si da paso ya te pega mucho. Tú quédate atrás, men, no te quedas ahí, quédate ahí parado ahí donde tú estabas.
Boxing Doctor News, Manny Pacquiao's next potential opponent is Rolando Romero, the WBA welterweight champ. Romero is under the same promotion, has the belt, and can sell a fight. He's eager to face Pacquiao, saying, "A Hall of Famer on my resume. Who wouldn't want that?" After Pacquiao's draw with Barrios, his advisor sees Romero as the favorite for Manny's next bout. Romero has knockout power and isn't afraid to bring the heat. Is this the explosive matchup fans have been waiting for?
Rolando Romero has emerged as a freightrunner for Pacquiao's next fight, especially after training footage surfaced, suggesting he's already preparing for the challenge. His camp has expressed enthusiasm about the potential matchup, and Romero himself has publicly stated that he'd be honored to share the ring with a legend like Manny. Meanwhile, names like Gervonta Davis have also been mentioned, though that fight appears less likely due to ongoing promotional conflicts and timing issues.
We will see what transpires, but all these people out here saying that the Bible speaks, a lot of these people were not fans of Manny Pacquiao. You know, when that whole Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao situation was going on with the steroids allegation, the needles, and the back and forth between the Pactars, as they called them back in the day, and the Mayweather fans, a lot of those fans still hold grudges towards Manny Pacquiao. I guarantee if that was Mayweather that was fighting Mario Barrios coming into that fight after a long layoff, all the people would have said Mayweather had a chance, Mayweather going to win, become champion once again. Mayweather's levels above Mario Barrios even at that age. And Mayweather's actually older than Pacquiao. But those same people wasn't giving Pacquiao no chance to defeat an average fighter in Mario Barrios. And that's what I base my pick on, that Mario Barrios is average. Some people that's Tank Davis fans, you know, they want to blow up Mario Barrios into something that he really ain't. Because really before the Tank fight, we're talking about Mario Barrios right now. Before the Tank fight, he took on a guy by the name of Ahmad Dalia. He lost that fight. And he took a beating from that fight. And Mario Barrios really ain't never been the same from that fight. Go back and watch that fight. That was a fight before the Tank fight. Now, a lot of people say, well, he was looking good in the Tank fight. He was winning early in the Tank fight. That was a fact of Tank going up in weight, fighting a much bigger guy on fight night. Look at the difference in size. Not only just wings, look at the height, but he was just a much bigger guy.
Some fans continue to call for a rematch between Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, holding on to the belief that Floyd would win again. However, they often overlook the fact that Mayweather is not only older than Pacquiao but also significantly less active. He hasn't faced a serious opponent in years, opting instead for low-risk high-reward exhibition bouts. A fight against a rejuvenated Pacquiao today wouldn't resemble their 2015 encounter back then. Floyd faced a version of Manny recovering from a shoulder injury and lacking competitive rhythm. This time he'd be up against a Pacquiao fueled by speed, purpose, and absolutely nothing to lose, a matchup Mayweather would likely steer clear of.
No.
Because, like,
Weird rounds, hard to score.
Pacquiao did better than I thought he did. And that's like, we get into that weird territory in boxing where you start grading on a curve. That's not how boxing works. And I was like, oh, Pacquiao's doing better. He's probably winning. Oh, he won. But no, he probably didn't. And a draw is he's probably lucky to get a draw.
Yeah, as I was watching it and scoring it, and I was in the live chat with people, and there was just so many rabid Pacquiao fans that were like, every time he did anything, first of all, anytime he did anything in the arena, the place went absolutely bonkers, like it was going to tear down. He, honestly, he probably fought 50 to 60 seconds around. He did not do much. He didn't need to, because Barrios didn't step on the gas pedal at all at any point. He was so listless and just kind of like ho-humming through it. So Pacquiao was able to steal moments, and he did a really good job of stealing the end of rounds and making an exclamation point. And also, we saw flashes of the Manny of old when he would have that little like flourishing signature in the end of something. He'd make that little movement, bang, he'd pop that left hand, he'd fly out, boom, 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 boom. He'd make those little moves, do the fancy feet, and you would be like, ah, but really nothing happened. He didn't land a lot of punches. Like, it wasn't like anything really effective. But it got everybody emotional. It got everybody, and whereas Barrios was the exact opposite. Everything he did was so workmanlike. He has zero charisma. He has no sell on anything he does. He just lacked passion. I know he's Aztec warrior, but where was the passion? Where was the exchanging? Where was the biting down on my mouthpiece and going for it? So there was a lot of opportunities based on how both guys fought for Manny to actually steal rounds, because Mario wasn't selling it. Pacquiao was. The crowd was behind him. But yes, when you do it, you're looking at it almost like you're almost comparing Pacquiao to Pacquiao. You're being like, oh, he fought really good for a 46-year-old. He didn't fight really good for a 12-round main event, champion. He fought really good for a 46-year-old Pacquiao. So you get that idea in your head, like, oh man, he's doing so good, but is he really, or are you just voting for the guy that you like better?
Like, nostalgia's a hell of a, and we were all on Saturday night.
Respected boxing analysts have echoed the belief that Pacquiao did more than enough to earn the win against Barrios. He was the clear aggressor throughout the fight, consistently pushing the pace and keeping the action alive, while Barrios appeared passive for long stretches, often circling or standing still without mounting significant offense. Frame-by-frame reviews highlighted several rounds that seemed unfairly awarded to Barrios despite his low output. Pacquiao's ring generalship, volume punching, and control of the tempo told a story that didn't match the final scorecards. For many analysts, Manny's comeback wasn't just impressive, it was potentially a rightful victory.
Rounds and drawing against the WBC champion. And the craziest part of all of it might be that Manny Pacquiao might have been robbed. I genuinely think that Manny Pacquiao might have won the fight. He looked great. He looked sharp, especially for being a 46-year-old. And this is why I told you guys that Manny Pacquiao's mentality is different. His passion for boxing is unmatched. This is why he's one of the GOATs. From what we saw, we could see that he really put in a lot of work. Because in his last fight, I believe it was 5 years ago, he didn't look good. He looked slow. He looked like a 46-year-old. Or a 40-year-old, because he was 40 years old back then. But he didn't look good. But he looked great. I feel if the rematch happens against Mayweather, which would honestly be an amazing fight because they're both old now, so they don't have any excuse of being like, oh, this guy's past his prime. They're both past their prime. They're both old. But if it happens, I think Manny Pacquiao wins. Floyd Mayweather hasn't fought, and he doesn't have the same amount of passion. He fought Logan Paul and Deji, but this guy fought an actual WBC champion and looked great and could have possibly beat him. He said he's not going to stop boxing, and he honestly has no reason why to stop. Now, obviously, I don't think he's like a top 10 boxer right now, or like currently whatever, but he can hold his own. If he went against someone like Gervonta Davis, yes, he'd get murdered, but there's a lot of fighters that he can go toe-to-toe with.
What struck many fans and critics the most was the conviction with which Pacquiao approached the fight. There was no hesitation, no doubt, only pure belief in his craft. He moved with purpose, fired punches with confidence, and managed distance. Like a seasoned technician, no point did he look like someone chasing past glory. Instead, he fought with the drive of a man who still had something to prove. Unfortunately, that performance wasn't fully reflected on the scorecards. While he undoubtedly earned the crowd's respect, the judges failed to reward what was clearly a competitive and valiant return to the ring. So if you enjoyed this breakdown and want more updates and news on Manny Pacquiao, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Thank you to all the amazing people of the Philippines.